Iran, vowing harsh retaliation over the U.S. airstrike that killed its top military commander, General Qasem Soleimani. Here to talk about all of it is retired four-star General Jack Keane. He is the chairman of the Institute for the Study of War and a Fox News senior strategic analyst. General, been looking forward to speaking to you this morning. First, what do we need to know as we are all digesting this news this morning?
Well, Qasem Soleimani represents the execution arm for the supreme leader. There is no boss over Qasem Soleimani except the supreme leader of Iran. And all the malign and aggressive activity that's been taking place in the Middle East and worldwide terrorism is orchestrated by Qasem Soleimani. He has more blood on his hands than any other individual that's alive today, as far as I can tell. So what we did here, we took legal preemptive defensive measures to disrupt an imminent attack again on U.S. troops. And that is within the president's full authority to do. And in my own judgment, something we could have done many years before, because this is a designated terrorist organization and he is a designated terrorist leader.
General Mark Esper, the defense secretary, joined us on this program about this time yesterday morning. Obviously, that was before the attack took place. I hear you talking about legal preemptive action. He suggested the options that were on the table yesterday morning. Here's some of that.
I'm not going to telegraph what we're going to do, but people know that we have vast capability to do any number of things. We will act in response to actions by Iran or its proxies, and we will act to preempt any attacks on our forces, our personnel, by Iran or its proxies.
Obviously, that noted a bit of a change from what we had heard after all the action at the embassy. The Pentagon this morning responding with this quote: "This strike was aimed at deterring future Iranian attack plans. The U.S. will continue to take all necessary action to protect our people and our interests wherever they are around the world." That is a statement by the Department of Defense. General, how do we do that now, knowing that they are vowing retaliation?
Well, first of all, I think this president has shown enormous restraint. After all, the Iranians have been escalating for 18 months in the Middle East to create a crisis so that pressure is put on the United States to stop the sanctions. And they've been disrupting oil. They attacked one of the largest oil fields in the world, the Persian Gulf, tankers, disruption, etc. They shot down a U.S. drone, and we did not retaliate. In fact, after the oil field was attacked, I thought we should have retaliated, but the president showed restraint. And he put a red line out there, Sandra. He said, look, if you kill Americans, then I'm going to respond. And when that took place, this president responded. And they were about to do it again. Soleimani flew in from Syria, met Mohandes, who's his operational commander inside of Iraq. He's an Iraqi. We were probably tracking Mohandes, and he met Soleimani, and we attacked. I think the Secretary of Defense was very much aware of the intel that we had, and he probably was very much aware during your interview, Sandra, that we were tracking Mohandes, who's Soleimani's operational commander.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was on earlier this morning responding to questions over why President Trump proceeded with this action when previous presidents, including Barack Obama, did not. Here's Mike Pompeo.
Look, we took a very different approach. We didn't send pallets of cash to the Iranians. We didn't pay for hostages. We didn't create a deal which would have given them a clear pathway to a nuclear weapon. We've taken a very different approach. We believe it's the one that will ultimately lead to success and stability in the Middle East.
Does it lead to success and stability in the Middle East? What happens next, General?
It's our best chance. We don't know for sure, but look at the appeasement policy for 8 years under the Obama administration blew up in his face because they wanted Iran to come into the community of nations and act responsibly, and that's what the nuclear deal was all about. What did we get? We get an Iranian-led civil war in Syria, an Iranian-led civil war in Yemen, human catastrophe in both of those places, encroaching on the security of Israel and undermining the oil flow out of the Middle East. This is what we got. And this president looked at all of that and said, no, we're not continuing down that path. In concert with our allies, strategically, the policy decision was we're going to confront Iran, not with bullets, We're going to do it economically and diplomatically. And that's what the president's policy is. And that's what so has frustrated this regime. I believe this is the only path we can get to curbing their aggressive and malign behavior that's been going on for 40 years. All other attempts have failed. This is the best shot we've got to stop this aggression.
I only have about a minute left or so, General, but that was Lindsey Graham's point earlier on Fox News this morning. He says that he says that the president has to convince the Ayatollah the oil refineries are at risk. I hear you saying that they have to continue to be squeezed economically. How much further can we go? What other tools do we have to do that?
I don't know about all the companies and firms in Iran. The State Department and the Treasury Department have got oversight of that. I'm sure they're pulling out all the stops to squeeze them as much as we possibly can. And certainly we've got Russia and China helping the Iranians, and I don't think we're going to have much success there. Keep up the maximum pressure campaign is what we should be doing. And I applaud the president for the restraint that he's exercised to date, and we've got to stay focused. And by the way, Iran as a nation state has huge resources despite the economic sanctions. They have a worldwide terrorist network, and they can strike not only in the region but globally. And we've got to look at them not through the prism of al-Qaeda or through ISIS, but as a nation state that sponsors terrorism and supports the malign and aggressive behavior in the region.
We will check back in with you soon. General Jack Keane, appreciate your time this morning on all of that. Thank you.
Good talking to you, Sandra.
You too.